Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I read k.i.s.s #1. Now, there have been a lot of k.i.s.s comics, 40 years worth of k.i.s.s comics. But if you're a true fan of the k.i.s.s Army, you will read every single one of them. And that's total fluff because I've read very few of them actually. I've read the Marvel interactions with them, and I read one or two. I can't really remember the other one, but I'm pretty sure I've read a second one also at one point earlier in my life. The first time I actually realized that there were k.i.s.s comics was when I was living down in Kissimmee, Osceola, Orlando area of Florida. I was 14, and yeah, there was comic book stores every which way you looked, which was just heaven. Besides Fire Ants, those two together kind of made it plausible, like right in the middle. But lots of comic book stores, and I saw k.i.s.s comics, and I said, "What? These things are real?" Anyway, so this is done by Dynamite Comics. Now the titles have bounced from this distributor to that distributor to this publisher to that publisher, and yeah, at the end of the day, you know that Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are very very particular and extremely careful with what is done with their property, their intellectual property, not just their songs, but the k.i.s.s image. I'm sure that this is in good hands. We've got Amy Chu and Kuber Bal. Bal is interesting. Bal could either be the name of a greater demon or it could be hair in Hindi. But either way, that's the writer and the artist, respectively. And like I said, I know that it's going to be in good hands because it's k.i.s.s, for crying out loud. The k.i.s.s properties, they're the brainchild and babies of Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. These two would never, ever allow anything to do with their property to go into less than capable hands. It's usually like top, higher echelon sort of things. They're very careful. I mean, for crying out loud, they're one of the very few people who got together and they were able to beat up Doctor Doom in the comics, which I wasn't happy with. But still, it says a lot about their influence. k.i.s.s, unlike other bands, k.i.s.s is not just a band. It's not just a music group. It's actually an experience. It's actually a propriety. It's something that kind of transcends what a regular musical band would be. It's very different, and you'd really have to look into the history, read an autobiography or two to get that. So guys, getting into the comic, we're talking about 468 years after the Great War. No, not the real Great War, the World War I, the war to end all wars. No, something different that happened apparently sometime in the 2030s or so. There's a great series of panels that show a playground, and it depicts how the degradation of the world went on since the 2020s, right? And it moves on, and you see it getting worse and worse and uglier. Troops and soldiers come rushing through, and they're giving the indication that from a certain period of time to a certain period of time, there was a war that was beyond all wars, and the skies and the lands were poisoned, and the people had to go underground. Now, they only give indication of one underground city, though there may be more. I'm not discounting that. I kind of hope that there are more, unless they have a different idea of where the story is going to go. But the city of Blackwell, it's a metropolis. It houses about 2.25 million people, and just a little over that. And the artwork on this is actually really, really good. And it's given a step above really good. And this, I kind of feel bad that I made fun of his last name a little tiny bit before. It's so good, and they actually give a lot of iconography in this. Now, that's the thing that really gets me. The images, and more than that, the symbolism that they do in this. I mean, like I said, k.i.s.s, the k.i.s.s Army, it's a lot more than just whatever, just a band. It is a brand. So, yeah, you just add an R in there and it totally explains what k.i.s.s is, the brand band. It was cool. And like I said, they're really particular with who they give permissions to do whatever with. It's very, very over-detailed, a lot. They oversee everything that's going on. In fact, I'm actually afraid of giving the slightest bad review on this because the k.i.s.s people will actually come after me if I do. I'm positive of that. So, Kiss Army, rock on. Anyway, so they give a very dystopian and Orwellian even concept for what's going on here. That here are these kids who are being programmed in a sense. It's just an assembly, but when you think about school assemblies, isn't that all that they are? It's just a form of brainwashing. All right, guys, we're not going to have classes today so that you can go woo-hoo for our cheerleaders and the football team that they represent, because we're going to go all the way this time. And really, do we have to have school spirit day and nonsense like that? I'm pretty sure that's not actually what we go to school for. No, instead we go to school to hear the bells and all this stuff. So they kind of depict all of that in this General Assembly. The kids who ask questions that are actually difficult questions are insulted. They're actually put down and made to be embarrassed and humiliated in front of all of their peers. And we're talking about a lot of peers in this auditorium. So they want reverbiage. Is that really a word? They want the verbiage regurgitated. Let's just put it like that. I'm going to stop inventing words. I'm not the greats with making words. I'm not Shakespeare. So they do the whole pledge allegiance to the council and thank Mr. Blackwell for all that he's done for us and saving us and keeping us safe. Even though there is the question that, can't we go up to the surface and see if after all this time, can we actually live up there now? And it's insulted, and they even say, but what if we sent a protector up there? They say, no, every single protector is important. They must be here to protect us. That's the name of it. And, from dangers. And what dangers? This looks so serene, so peaceful, everything. It doesn't make sense. So clearly there's something going on. It's as blatant as the sun that we see that they can't. But there's these 4 kids. And, the introduction kind of told me, in a sense, what is going to happen here. And I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, though. I get the sense that these 4 kids are going to wind up becoming the KISS members, which, could be pretty cool. There are 2 girls there. I wonder which 2 they would become. But it doesn't matter. When you really look at it, it looks like they found this map and they're trying to find a way. They found where the food is being made, and the tunnels only seem to go down outside. It actually is kind of like the City of Ember and things like that. There's so many different stories that are just kind of conglomerated together. And these guys are able to find this area that is like a monastery, and they go in and there's a computer, and it's called Morpheus, god of dreams, god of sleep. What is it? And they hit the button, and the KISS heads appear over top. And now I really can't wait to see the next issue. Yeah, that's actually where it stops. And I expected to stop something like that. So what's the one thing that's really missing from this comic? Action. There was no real action. There was a part where they were chased away by a protector droid or something that was doing the agriculture in that area. But aside from that, it didn't even give them chase. It didn't seem like it was trying to necessarily kill them. Or if it was, as soon as they got out of that area, it was perfectly fine. They didn't chase them further. So there wasn't really any action, and yet I still liked the comic. It was written very well, and it's this first issue, you always got to give a little slack to the first issues. And this first issue, what it gave was a promise that something very cool could be coming. It could fall right flat on its face, and I really hope it doesn't. I really doubt that it will, but I see some potential for some really good things to come up. They gave you in my opinion, exactly what you needed to be addicted and say, I need the second issue. I need to see what's going on. And honestly, I hope they're not going to continue leaving us on cliffhangers of this extreme every time, because that will actually be like a coitus interruptus, and nobody likes coitus interruptus. So anyway, guys, I'm giving this a good grade. I'm going to give this a B+, because again, no action, didn't answer a single question, but the iconography was perfect. Couldn't have asked for any more, and that's what KISS is. So this really captured what KISS is without the silliness. There was no fire-breathing demon in this. There was no Star Child and the mind control and stuff like that. There was none of that yet. There may be. There may be. But this was a very grounded book with the k.i.s.s memorabilia everywhere. There's even, they said they brought in different relics from the world, and at one point they actually had a sphinx with some shades on it. Look up album covers to understand exactly what I'm talking about here. And when push comes to shove, good stuff. Can't wait for the next one. More on this later. Professor Bell, Comic Book University, class dismissed.